Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming on to this final day of this conference, and I hope to be able to make this a good session for you. A lot of the people here are practitioners of the Gaudiya Vaishnava. Is this too loud? Anyway. A lot of the people here are practitioners of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and a lot of questions arise when it comes to, okay, let us start getting into consciousness studies. The main idea of this conference is to inspire a new generation of scientists to come forward and try to take up research in consciousness studies. We have seen in the presentations of Stuart Hameroff that the topic of science and consciousness is actually going on. It's not a new thing. We are entering a discussion that is already going on. So with that, we have opportunities and we have challenges. So the important point that I want you to take from this is that there is a great scope for those in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism to enter into that discussion. Now, we want to do good science. I don't know how many of you saw this report by the BBC. I think it was last week, where it said that there were some people that in a science conference in India were claiming that Einstein was wrong, and this made like huge head news everywhere around the world, saying like, well, this is a scientific conference, and these people are coming in and saying Einstein is wrong, and the Vedas were always right, and they always proved everything else that there is here. This is a circus. That we don't want. We don't want to be those people. We want to be able to do good science and good theology, good philosophy. So the question is then, okay, how can I go into it? What can I do? Right? That was the main question, at least for me, years ago, when I was doing my PhD. I was going like, okay, I can see how I can, how a person in the medical field can contribute. I can see how maybe somebody in the psychology field can contribute. I don't see how a physicist can contribute here directly. And it took me some years to start looking at all the possibilities, and once it started coming in, a rush flood of ideas started coming in. And that is what we want to be able to present to you today. Possibilities for you to explore and say like, wow, well, maybe somebody's talk here today will inspire you and say like, wow, that is really great. Now I get this great idea that I want to start doing by myself. This research idea that I want to, in my own field, to do. Maybe that will happen, or maybe it won't. So then there's second opportunity, which is trying to find people that maybe you say, well, this person I can work with. Maybe you don't get your own idea, but this person has a great idea, and I want to collaborate with that person. So that is a second possibility. And then there's a third possibility, which is, well, maybe you didn't find anybody that, specifically, like, yeah, I can collaborate with like that. But we want to present possibilities of groups that are needing people with specific types of talents or focuses on their specific fields. So these are the three types of things we want you to keep an eye out for, especially in these breakout sessions. The whole point of the breakout sessions that we're going to go into is for you to look into these things. Is there an idea that immediately pops out for me? Or is there somebody that I can say I would like to collaborate with that person? Or is there a project that I can plug into, right? So that by the end of this conference, it's not just like, well, that was a nice conference. Now, you know, back to the lab. But actually, I want to do something. I've been inspired, and I have a small project that I want to start getting into, or maybe a big project. So, as I mentioned, there's going to be four within the breakout sessions. There's going to be four specific types of projects, big projects that we want you to explore. One of them, for example, is the self-sustainability in farms. That is going to be with Kalakantapurums. He's going to lead that up, and you know, somebody, for example, how many engineers are here? Okay, very good, nice. So some of the engineers might say, like, well, you know, I don't know what to research, you know, in terms of consciousness here. You know, like, I'm an engineer. What can I do here? Maybe something like consciousness in self-sustainability, you know, could be an opportunity there. You know, there are like these beautiful farms all over the world, not only within our society, but also, you know, within the you know, human society at large, that are trying to develop self-sustainable systems. And they need people that are thinking about how to create, with the restrictions that they have in their land and the resources that they have there, how can I create, you know, self-sustainable systems? Well, you can be part of that, right? Or also, you know, not only engineers, but also biologists, ecologists. So many people can go into that project. Then there's also the idea of curriculum for schools, right? How many educators are here? Very good. So, you know, you can say, like, well, I'm an educator. I don't do like research, right? Well, what if you are able to help bring down that high, lofty knowledge that is going over everybody's head and bring it down to the general public? That is a great service. You know, that is something that is needed. So, you know, there you can do it. Or maybe you would like to be inspired by the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. There's a planetarium that is being built, and you could be part of that. They need help in many different branches of science. And how many people in the humanities are here? Okay, so those people that are, for example, into Hindu studies, you know, theology and all of these, what if we were able to, or computer engineers, all right? What if we were able to create a Veda-base that has all the Vedas? That if you wanted to know, you know, put in a word like, I don't know, gravity or atom, you could find, okay, this is where, you know, the word gravity comes into the Vaisheshika Sutras, or the word atom maybe in the Rig Veda or something like that. Like, have all the Vedas in there. This will require a huge amount of people, you know, people that will be able to create databases to be able to sort this out, people that will be able to translate all of these manuscripts that are in Sanskrit or in regional languages like Tamil, Malayan, and so many of these into English, so that it can be accessible to everybody in the world. Now, this is something that would not benefit only, you know, the small ISKCON society, but it could benefit all the world. So my point here to all of you is that there are so many possibilities of projects where so many people are needed. This is a chance for us to start thinking about it. There is so much to do in terms of consciousness study, scientific eyes.
why was I doing that? Well, I had a very strange biochemistry professor who knew that there's something to do with blood and consciousness. So Dr. Pratt had me didn't have to deal with the cow's blood anymore. I met Hare Krishna devotees. And I won't tell the story. I said, oh my God, this guy already knows what I'm trying to research.
Oxygenated and non-oxygenated erythrocytes. So maybe it will not be telling you, here's the Sanskrit word, periodic table of elements. Very good. So it has columns and rows, and according to certain, he was creating not translating, but he was creating a dictionary from Sanskrit into ideas for research. And at the same time, we can do the opposite. We can do cross-pollination, right? Doubts that come about when we start looking into this, right? For example, the as I mentioned, for example, maybe you won't want to publish in a scientific journal, but the people who are doing education for school, there's religion, which deals with consciousness, and then there is the world of matter, which science deals with. And the other thing is that somebody might say, well, if we try to do both of them, if we try to do science and philosophy, or science and religion, we'll end up talking to scientists, devotees around. So, these are ideas that come about. So another question that comes about, I have a family, and kids and like that, and I have to do my rounds and go to the temple. It's like, oh my God, where am I going to find time here to do it? Research like that of Dr. Dharmela, who spoke about, we have about
messages there in terms of what we want or what is desirable in terms of your presentation. In terms of, are we concerned, is our initial concern derivative from it, like as far as in that example, the newspaper articles, or is the emphasis on doing actually just what is considered good science?
well, the idea of doing good science is important, regardless of anything. We want to be able to do good science, good philosophy. What I've seen most of that, what we want is at least to be able to be heard and say, okay, that's another possibility. Among all the possible scientific ideas, this is another idea. Where they got it from, well, a dream or, their scriptures, whatever, but, it's a good idea. Right. Thank you very much.